NFL Week 1. And instead of starting at the beginning of the week, let's start at the end and we'll work our way back because we are recording this Tuesday morning. We saw a barn burner of a game last night between the 49ers and the Jets. The 49ers win 32-19. Just now you have been making the joke that you got everything wrong with NFL. I got everything right with NFL this past week. We both nailed this Jets team right on the head.
Oh, yeah.
And the Bears, which we'll get to. But this thought that this Jets team was all of a sudden going to be a 10-win team just because they got Aaron Rodgers back, I think people need to start tempering their expectations. We thought it last week, but after last night, I know they're playing against the 49ers, but can we put the Jets hype back like 5-6 wins? I mean, to think this is a 10-win team is insane. Aaron Rodgers last night in his return, 13 for 21, 167 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He also coming off that, I believe it was an Achilles injury, ankle injury. What knocked him out last year?
What's up?
What knocked him out last year? Rodgers.
It was Achilles.
So coming back from an Achilles injury, it also looked like he lost his ability, maybe with age, maybe because of the injury, to just move around the pocket. He looked like a statue standing there. And when your wide receivers aren't getting open, or when you're facing a pass rush like the 49ers have, you're gonna, I mean, I think when we look at when Rodgers has retired and it's like our kids, if TikTok's still around or whatever the equivalent of TikTok is, he's going to get the Odell Beckham Jr. treatment, which is just like people are going to be like, Rodgers was the best quarterback I've ever seen because it's just going to be highlights of him doing the Hail Mary and him doing the Hail Marys and him doing the free plays where he always gets a touchdown on free plays. And it's just going to be like, how did this guy not win 10 Super Bowls? And you're like, well, because he just never had that gene. Instead of doing the Tom Brady thing where it's like Tom Brady all of a sudden is like, oh, I'm 40 years old. I'm going to stop eating tomatoes because they're a night fruit. And I'm going to go on this insane diet, right? And like focus on the NFL and being the best quarterback I can be as if I was 21 when I'm 41. Yeah. Rodgers is like, oh yeah, I'm just going to miss training camp and then I'm going to go like on a hike and then I want to go see like the pyramids. And then they're like, hey,
all on high on ayahuasca or whatever you
ayahuasca.
Say. Ayahuasca.
Yeah. And it's like, hey, mandatory mini camp starts right now. And then he's like, yeah, but I already booked the trip to Egypt. And then it's just like, okay, well, have fun. And then he comes out, doesn't play in any of the preseason games, is benched in this game, not because of bad play, but because they didn't want him to get injured.
You see that whole thing where the offensive coordinator is trying to talk to him with the iPad and he's like not paying attention?
Yeah. So it's like at this point, I think Aaron Rodgers has lost all sympathy because you can't have the offseason he had and then come lay an egg this hard in week 1. Right? Like, also, the Titans looked pretty damn good this weekend, despite at least their defense did. So now all of a sudden, if the Jets go into Tennessee and just get their ass kicked by the Titans next week, like in this game, you can the opposite is you can be like, well, I mean, it's against the 49ers. They just went to the Super Bowl. They're one of the best teams in the league. Like, hard first game. All those are valid points. If you go next week and all of a sudden Rodgers...
but they were also missing McCaffrey, who didn't play.
We'll get to that in a second. Yeah. But that's the thing. It's like, if they go to Tennessee next week and Rodgers is just getting his dick kicked in and just the offensive line, which was already shaky to begin with, he can't move at all.
Okay, but what you're going to hear out of that, if that happens, is, oh, Tennessee's better than we thought. Not Aaron Rodgers sucks at the age of 40.
Well, it might not even suck. He might just be past his prime. Like, also, what is an Aaron Rodgers when he can't buy time in the pocket? Like, what is he when he can't run around and buy time? He's just a guy that stands there in the pocket like a statue, and then he never took risk in his career in
No,
terms of passes. So unless there's something there, he's never going to give you like a 50-50 ball. He's always going to just be like, this needs to be 80-20 or I'm not throwing it. So then it's like, who even is that guy?
no,
And it's
he's a
what
stat
we saw
pattern,
last
dude. We
night.
all we all know it. This is that whole conversation of how he's like, I think I got another MVP in me, and blah 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 blah. And Gronk was like, why are you doing that? You should be worried about Super Bowls, not MVPs. Like he only cares about him and his stats and his numbers. He's already, he's won a Super Bowl. He got that out of the way real early on. So what does it matter? Like he doesn't care. He doesn't care.
Yeah. And it again, it would also be one of those things where if he was with them all off season and didn't have any controversies and all that kind of stuff, you could have been like, well, give him some leeway or whatever. But now the scrutiny is more vicious on him simply based on how he approached the offseason with
All
a new
day.
team, which was just like, we'll get to it when we get to it. Not like this is now the number one priority. And again, also not married, doesn't have any kids. So it's just like one of those things where like a 40-year-old dude just being like, I'm going to do me. Like it just dudes without like wives or kids when they're older just get like that weirdly selfish kind of mindset where it's just like, why would I do anything not for me? And then you're just like, because that makes you like an asshole. And Aaron Rodgers always comes off as like a smug asshole, right? That's
He
what
is a
everybody
smug
always says
asshole.
about him. Yeah. Let's move on, Casino, to the next game. And the next game I wanted to talk about was the Sunday night game.
What a
And that
game.
was,
Oh.
dude, I feel like if the Rams and Lions played, every game would pretty much end like 3-point swing either way,
It
right?
was so
Like that
good.
just feels
It
like
was
what they
so
played.
good.
That was a great game. Great game. And also, coming out of this game, did it give you more confidence in the Lions or more confidence in the Rams?
More confidence in the Rams.
I
They
think
they
so
they
as
did
well.
they did an uptake for me because I know what the Lions are, and the Lions did what I expected them to do. They were really good. They dug down they needed to late. They came back and won that game. I thought it was over after the Rams scored that late score, and then the Lions end up coming down, forcing it to overtime, and then end up inevitably winning it in overtime. And that's what you expect from a Super Bowl contending team, a team that I picked to win the Super Bowl, which
Mhm.
of course, that means a lot, holds a whole bunch of stake, in sports
I
media.
feel like they were playing for you.
They were.
I did feel like that. Yeah.
But man, that game was outstanding. But again, that's what you want to see from a Super Bowl contender is their grit when they needed to. Yes, they were at home. They had that in their favor, but they were down. Like most teams, when you go down with what was left, like a couple minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes left, or whatever it was
Yeah.
left in the game, most people wrap it up. Like, oh shit, we lost. But they came down and they took care of business. That game was outstanding.
Yeah.
That was my favorite game of the week.
And even Puka Nakua gets knocked out pretty early in that game. He only had 4 receptions, 35 yards. Now he'll be out for a while. But then what everybody was saying in the offseason was Cooper Cup's going to be back to what he used to be. And then on Sunday night, he was 14 receptions, 110 yards, one
Yeah.
touchdown, averaging 8
And
yards a
that's,
catch.
and he proved me wrong. Remember, I talked about like I was like, I don't know. I don't know if he can come back from, it's tough. I thought he was past his prime, or it would have been tough for him to come back. And he played outstanding. He had a
Yeah.
really good game.
No, he had a great game. And then I'll tell you what, that Rams offensive line was real shaky for most of the game. And Matthew Stafford just put on like a
I
masterclass
love
of
those two quarterbacks are outstanding.
dude. Yeah, I was impressed by Goff, but Matthew Stafford, when he has people around him, like it is unbelievable how many
I
years
was
of career
I
were
was,
wasted in
obviously
this
I
kid.
was very happy that the Patriots beat the Rams in that Super Bowl, but I was so happy that Stafford finally got his bowl. I was just so happy. I
Well, when
really I really wanted him to get it.
and that Rams team, it was still Goff.
Oh,
He
you're
was
right. It
still
was it was Goff when the Patriots won, but then yeah, and then he went over the next year and then he took care of business. I was just I was so happy that he got his Super Bowl, man.
Yeah. And then the offensive line coming into this year was ranked 16th in the league. It looked worse. Now I know they have some injuries, same with like the Ravens offensive line, but I
Dude,
really do think
just imagine if Goff and Stafford did not switch teams, like, it really wouldn't have been any much of a different. Like,
yeah. I mean, yeah.
these 2 quarterbacks remind me so much of each other. I was this was fun. That was a fun game.
But I
Outstanding.
also wish that Matthew Stafford would have had this good of a Lions team when he was there,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Because usually he had shit defenses and Calvin Johnson, and that was like
Yeah,
it,
He had
right?
Megatron.
Yeah, that was it. And he had questionable offensive lines, which I still think he does in the Rams. That would be the only thing I would be worried about with the Rams. But I think both these teams, maybe we'll see them again in the
I mean,
playoffs.
again, and so hat off to you for saying Cooper Cup was gonna be back. I mean, you've done, and the Rams were gonna be pretty good. Look at you. Look at
Yeah,
you.
buddy.
You did your studying.
I did do my study. And also, you know what? Let's just jump right to it, Casino. We're just all over the map now, but I just want to get to it. How about that Vikings? How about them Vikings, Casino? Because
They beat a shit team. Get over it.
yeah, but nobody said the Vikings are going to be good this season. And I said, I mean, if Darnold can figure it out, they might be pretty good because every other position they got's pretty stacked. And then they come out and Darnold, I mean, he goes 19 for 24, 208 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. But he put on just maybe the best game of his career. Now I know
Okay,
again,
yeah, again, okay, so
against the
he had to play
Giants.
the best game of his career against a shitty Giants team. Like,
Yeah,
come on, man.
but everybody else, I mean, this Vikings defense was looking really good. They were flying all over. Aaron Jones looked like he's going to work.
I don't trust the Vikings. Aaron Jones looked fine. Yes. I mean, his rushing did really, really well over there compared to Devin Singletary, on the other hand, 10 carries for 37 yards. Oh, boy, do they miss. Oh, boy, do they miss
Saquon Barkley.
having Saquon Barkley. Oh, man, that was bad.
We don't have to talk about these games individually, so let's group them together. The Who is right now, in your opinion, the worst quarterback in the league? Because I think my pick right now is Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, Deshaun is definitely my pick.
So the Cowboys versus the Browns, the Cowboys end up winning insanely easily, 33-17. And it's not even like they played a crazy good game. It's
Yeah.
just the Browns and their offense. Deshaun Watson,
I feel so
24.
bad because we know their defense is still going to be all right, man. And Jerome Ford, he had a decent game. He got a touchdown. I know he only got 44 yards, but dude, Deshaun is not the guy. He's done. Just get him out of there, man.
24 for 45, 169 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Again, 24 completions, not
Ugh.
even getting over 170 yards. Like I watched most of this game because again, the NFL loves to do that thing where they put 50 games in the 10 a.m. slot because we're on the
Yeah,
West Coast, and then in the 1 p.m. slot they put 2 games. They put 3 games. It's like, why can't we have 8 and 8
there was
or
four,
6 and 6? It was I
but I
hate,
mean,
hate, hate.
I mean, the Browns defense, they got 3 sacks. They looked fine, man. I just ugh.
Well, also
Their
Miles
offense,
Garrett in that game was
yeah,
incredible.
yeah, outstanding, dude. Like, he was one of the sacks, and I feel so bad that this team's gonna have a really stout defense again. But
I know. And then when Chubb comes back, they have offensive weapons with Chubb, with Njoku, with Cooper, and then it's like they have again this giant liability at
just
quarterback who just doesn't seem
just this dud.
who doesn't even seem like he wants to play football.
I told you this. He wants to be out of the public eye. He doesn't want to be in the public eye anymore, man.
Well, there was also news that there's another sexual assault case that just got brought up against him again. So that's probably why he wants to be out of the public eye.
Well,
Because
I
every time
wonder if
he's in
it's
it,
so. Here's the thing. I'm just going to take a stab in the dark that this isn't a new one. This also has ties to back then, and it's just somebody who never spoke up.
yeah, but even then, it's like again, 50 people, you can call 50 people an asshole, but if 50 people think you're an asshole, you're probably an asshole. So it's like one of those things where one of them you can be like maybe defended a little. Like he's got like what 20 now against him. There's
So
no way.
so right, yeah. So with the amount that he had against him with the whole sexual misconduct and all that stuff, I, immediately what I'm going to do, because that was such a large number, I'm going to throw away half of those as just money grabs. But that still leaves you with a half, man. Like Jesus Christ, I can't believe that. I really can't believe that he's still allowed to play in the league and there's people are still rooting for him. I
Oh
just
yeah.
can't.
If you're a Browns fan, how can you be like, "Oh yeah," like cheering on Deshaun Watson? It just seems completely backwards to me. But let's move from that game cuz we're just jumping all over the map here to
That's
the
fine.
Titans Bears game where our big calls of the weekend where Jets are, or our big calls of the season where Jets are going to be bad and Bears are going to be bad. But apparently 9.5 for this Bears team. Now we're talking like they lost, but
But we were
they
talking
did
about
win.
this. Okay, we're talking about this Bears team. A lot of people were going to say they were going to be good for what reason though? Why were people saying that this Bears team was going to be good?
Because they have the next Patrick Mahomes and Caleb Williams.
Right. Not the fucking case.
And again,
He
this
was awful. He was up there. Yes, we said Deshaun Watson's the worst. Dude, Caleb Williams had an absolute dud of a game. Night, dude. It was insane. It's
14.
14 for 29 for 93 yards. 93 fucking yards.
Yeah.
Like,
And
dude,
the Bears' vaunted
no
offense,
no rushing, no rushing touchdowns,
no
no
touchdowns
receiving,
whatsoever.
no receiving touchdowns. The defense had two fucking touchdowns.
Yeah.
And we you said it and you couldn't have hit it any better when you said the best Bears quarterback on that field was Will Levis.
Yes, and I've already made the thumbnail for this episode on YouTube. It is now the iconic picture of Will Levis just on his knees with his hands like on his head like this, looking at the one of the worst interceptions you're going to see to lose a game, where he throws, I mean, the easiest pick six of that player's life. And
And so I feel like I was right with when it came to Caleb Williams. I know we got more to go and whatnot, but that was against the Titans. That was against the Titans. One of
yeah,
my picks for the worst team, one of the top 5 worst teams in the league. Because we just never know with the Titans. I can't wait to see what happens when they go up against some better teams.
well, let's look at the Bears schedule. So the next 3 weeks, they go Texans, Colts, Rams. All three
They could
teams
win.
that,
They could probably beat the Colts.
well, even with the Colts, I mean, we'll get to that in a second with what Anthony Richardson did, but
I know
Colts look good, Texans look good, Rams look good. They
that
all
was a
definitely look better than the Bears.
yeah.
And then they go Panthers. So that's one of
There's a
those
dub.
games where, yeah, they should get his first win. But then they go Jaguars, Commanders, Cardinals, Patriots, Packers, Vikings, Lions, 49ers. And then they finish out Vikings, Lions, Bear, or Vikings, Lions, Packers, Seahawks. All those teams showed me a lot more than what we got from this Bears team. Because again, the Bears defense looked pretty good, but you're not going to be playing Will Levis every week. Like Will Levis is right there at the bottom of the league in terms of starting quarterbacks. So next couple weeks, you're going against CJ Stroud. You're going against Anthony Richardson, that we don't have a lot of tape on, but he at least looked pretty good in the tape we do have.
Right.
Going against Stafford. You're going against Kyler Murray. You're going against Jordan Love. You're going against Jared Goff. You're going against Purdy. Like you're going against quarterbacks we've seen have way more success in this league than we've seen Will Levis. So all of a sudden, I wish we could have gotten some sort of value for picking Bears under, because I feel like that number is just going to plummet. Because I remember at one point, this Bears team was predicted to go 9-5. That
Right.
was what the sports books were saying. And we both came on here and were like, what? Like, that's the most insane number I've ever seen.
That I
Like,
mean, literally that defense saved him, and Will Levis saved them. But there's quarterbacks that aren't going to be making those silly mistakes.
Yeah, they're going to play. I mean, they play like three more quarterbacks the entire season that are on that level of bad against Will Levis. So, is this going to, are we just expecting this Bears team every week to be like that Rex Grossman year where
Yeah,
Rex Grossman was the quarterback and the Bears defense literally won every game? I don't know. But again, the week one overreaction is if you're a Caleb Williams supporter, and again, this is not on Caleb Williams as much as it is on the media who were like, this guy is going to be Patrick Mahomes day one. Bears
and I
going to the
told you,
Super Bowl,
I have to
best
see
Bears
it.
quarterback.
So
Yeah. And me and Casino, I guess we're crazy when we came on here and we're just like, can he play one game first before we say he's the best quarterback the Bears have ever had? And then he plays one game and throws for 93 yards against a Titans team that's supposed to be rebuilding, right? This Titans team's not even supposed to be good, and yet they were up 17-0 against them.
right,
So
where's next?
that's let's just move over to Texans and Colts. Great
Fun
game.
game, fun game.
I mean, it was literally just Richardson and CJ Stroud just throwing 60-yard bombs back and forth.
Yeah,
Like,
and I mean, the arm that Anthony Richardson has, that one that he threw was like from their 20 to the other 30. I'm like, the fuck? Like, dude,
and
you
the
just
and he literally slips, like doesn't even gain his balance, and then just like flicks his arm, and it goes like on a dime to some guy 60 yards downfield. That's maybe one of the most impressive throws I've ever seen.
yeah, it
Like,
was pretty
just
crazy.
he didn't even reset. He literally tripped and then kind of just stood there and just
Yeah,
chucked it.
dude,
Like,
and it was to Alec Pierce, and so listen to this stat: Alec Pierce, 3 receptions, 125 yards,
yeah,
averaging 41 and a half yards, and then Ashton Doolin, 1 reception, 54 yards. Like, dude,
yeah, this was two teams just this really did feel like a postseason game, right? Like
it was
both teams
great.
just throwing haymakers, and it's like,
And what Joe Mixon, by the way, 30 carries, 159 yards, dude,
yeah,
and
that's
a
gonna look like a
touchdown.
good pickup. Yeah.
Whew, whew. Dude, this team, I really like my Texas pick. Colts surprised me, but I really like my Texas pick here, and
Yeah.
CJ Stroud to go for the MVP. I mean, 24 for 32, 234 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. You're starting off well. You're starting off well.
I believe I said my three surprise teams, or no, my four surprise teams for this year would be Colts, Rams, Cardinals, and then Vikings. So all
Well, I
four of
mean,
them look pretty good week one. Pretty
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Uh but yeah, I agree. Texans look like they are as advertised. Colts look like they're going to just be, if they're not a team that wins games every week, they're at least going to be a team that's going to be real fun to watch.
Yeah, they're gonna do what
Like,
the Arizona Cardinals did last year, where like they didn't win a lot of games, but man, they made a lot of games interesting.
yeah, and when you're watching Cardinals games, you're like, I'm kind of rooting for them, even though I don't like the Cardinals. But
Yeah.
that
I have
feels like
nothing against the Cardinals. I don't like Kyler Murray. I like Kyler Murray when he first got into the league, and I was like, "Yeah, Kyler, I like he's cool." And then he turned into a complete dipshit.
but I'm saying this
Anyway,
Colts team, you're going to be like, I'm not a fan of the Colts, but I'm kind of rooting for them. They're
yeah,
fun to watch, fun to
I
play.
I never disliked the Colts. I like the rivalry back in the day with the Colts and the Patriots, and even with that rivalry, I still enjoyed watching. Like, I wasn't like hating the Colts. I was like,
Yeah,
"Yeah,
yeah.
this is fun. This is good."
Well,
Plus the Colts also, were home to one of my favorite players of all time, top three. Do you know it? Do you know him?
top three,
Top three favorite players of all time.
offense or defense,
Offense, special teams.
special teams. No, who?
Adam Vinatieri, man. The
Oh, that's true.
I mean, he won
Okay.
the Patriots multiple Super Bowls, dude. He's one of the greatest players of all time. He still owns the scoring record for the NFL, most points ever by a player.
Yeah, he was all right. Let's move on to, speaking of your team, Casino. I feel like you just
Uh
talked about them, so
wow.
we can talk
I'm
about them.
I don't know if your pick on the Steeler or the Bengals was just on point, or if the Patriots are actually good. Like, regardless, I'm very, very happy for Gerard Mayo. I am out like just mind blown and very, very happy for him as him being one of like top 10 favorite Patriot players of all time to get his head coaching debut against they were 8.5 dogs at one point to get that win against the Bengals on the road. I'm just so happy for him. Like truly, that's an outstanding win. Like I just his scheme that he put together, and I knew that the Patriots defense was going to be a top 10 defense. I even without oh my god, why am I blanking on his name again? Guy
Judon.
went Judon, yes, Matthew Judon. With even without Judon, still a top 10. With Judon, they would probably been top five. And I really, really like the defense, but I was also surprised by the offense. They moved the ball well. Jacoby Brissett did a pretty good job. Not the greatest, but did a pretty good job. Ramondre Stevenson rushed for 120 yards and a touchdown. Love it. Go Ramondre. Very happy about that. But yeah, the Bengals just looked bad. They looked bad, man.
Huh, who could have seen that coming? But
Some dipshit named BJ. But regardless of the reasoning on the Patriots like destroying the Bengals, I'm very happy for Gerard Mayo. Even if like they only get two more wins this season, he got the one that really meant a lot to him. I'm sure was coming out on his debut, expected to lose the way they by over a touchdown and coming out and sticking it to him. It was
oh
really
yeah.
cool. It was really cool.
I mean, Bengals +8 going into this game must have wrecked so many parlay cards. So
Oh,
many
oh yeah. I mean, this
like
was our blowout of the week. We
they
thought the Patriots were going to get blown out.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't even feel like we had that much of a discussion about it. We were both
No,
just like we didn't even talk about it beforehand. We were both just
and
like, "Oh yeah, this is the obvious
it
game."
wasn't because I thought the defense was going to be. Oh, I'll stop it. Okay, my bad. Jeez, I just didn't expect. Didn't expect the Patriots offense to put as much up as they did. I mean, they had that one drive that was 14 plays, like outstanding. That killed so much time. Like really, really well done. Bengals just laid an egg. We'll see you next week. Let's
Yeah.
move on.
Well, also on the Bengals side, Joe Burrow again, he just didn't look like he had any time in the pocket. Jamar Chase just before the game, I guess, was like, "Oh, let me get out of the hot tub and just get in the game." I didn't even know I was playing. I found out 20 minutes before the game started, so that was a weird kind of side plot going into this game. I don't like the Bengals rushing attack at all. We talked about their defense being bottom half of the league and everything.
Right.
And it was
I mean,
just like
and you know, like Joe Burrow, like his completion rating wasn't bad. I mean, he was 21 for 29. It was just all like short plays.
yeah, I don't think he had any. I believe I saw something where he didn't have any completions over like 20 yards the entire game
Yeah,
or something
and
like
you know
that.
what?
So,
I that's just a tip to the hat to the Patriots defense and the scheme that Gerard Mayo put on the pressure to Joe Burrow. Well done, well
yeah,
done. Like
yeah,
it, and that's how I could possibly see the Patriots now after seeing Game One, how they can possibly go further than what I expected as being the worst team in the league. And that's not me just trying to be like, oh, my team's bad. I'm going to make them the worst team. I truly thought they were going to be the worst team in the league this year with the Panthers again. Um, but maybe Jerron Mayo can put together some schemes and show his coaching ability and why they picked him as their coach and see if they can pull off some more upsets. Good on him. I'm excited now to see a few games coming forward, seeing what they can pull off.
yeah. And it's also one of those things.
Situational football.
Yeah, and it's also one of those things where Jacoby Brissett always just plays like a B game, right?
Always.
And we see so many quarterbacks play F games, so B games look pretty damn good in comparison. Like,
All day.
but we're just gonna skim over Broncos Seahawks. No shocker, the Broncos look bad. I don't know
And the
why.
Seahawks didn't look great, but go
No,
Bron. Go,
I
go Seahawks won. Yay.
I don't know why either of those two teams were like teams that everybody was like, watch out for these teams, and
Yeah,
they
and
looked exactly like
it
what
was
we
a
thought
very
they would.
mediocre game. Yeah, it was 26-20, so there was some scoring, but they both looked meh.
Yeah, meh. Same can be said for I actually thought the Raiders Chargers game was maybe the most boring game of the weekend,
Yeah, it was.
but The Chargers played exactly how everybody thought they would play, which is the Harbaugh style, which is play smash mouth defense
We're
and then
gonna
run the ball
we're
down their
gonna
throat.
run the ball more and then run the ball and run the ball and run the ball and run the ball. Damn, did they just run the ball?
Yeah, and the
And it
Raiders.
worked. And they're God, dude, Harbaugh's smart, man. He knows what to he talking about situational football. He knows what to do as a coach. He
Yeah,
knows how to win games.
yeah. So I would say right now, probably Raiders, Panthers, Giants, 3 worst teams in the league. I don't think it's
And
even
I feel
close.
bad for Gardner Minshew. He had to throw 33 times.
Well, yeah, and then Antonio Pierce doing the punt on 4th and 1 in the 4th quarter when you're down by 1 score. Like, I everybody has shit on that so much, it's not even worth talking about. It's also, like, based on, how they do, like, the money ball thing for
Yeah.
football. It was 100%, it was in the 0.01% of most scared, I think it was like scared plays or something like that. Like most, it was one of the worst punts in NFL history, just statistically, from how the game was going, where they were, probability of getting it. So you're going to have Antonio Pierce. But again, that was the thing with this game where we just said, watch it just be a case of a coach out, a superior coach out coaching another coach who is not even in the same league as this guy, right? And Harbaugh, I mean, he just out coached Antonio Pierce as if that was ever going to be in question, that would happen. Let's talk last 2 games, Casino, and then we'll get out of here. Jaguars Dolphins was fun. Both those teams kind of look like what we thought they would
Well,
look like.
I thought this was my upset of the week. Jacksonville had it. They
I
had
know.
it, and it was literally 2 plays. The fumble at the 1, and then the
Into the end
next
zone. Yep.
in the end of the end zone, which would have put them up. What was that? It would have been up. It would have been
It would have been up.
24. Yeah, 24-7. And then literally the next play is Tyreek Hill's 80-yard touchdown. Like, God damn it, dude. I thought I was feeling so good. I even told you, I'm like, I'm feeling so good about this Jags pick. Like, the moment was gonna be too big for Tua, and then you had the whole thing with Tyreek. We didn't expect that, but still, I was like, they're gonna get it done. Jacksonville's gonna get it done. I thought I was so close about calling the upset of the week. I mean, it wouldn't have been, the Patriots were, but so fucking close.
Uh,
Oh,
on that same notion, I almost got my upset of the week with Cardinals Bills, but that damn Josh Allen. I'll tell you what, I feel like he answered a lot of critics where it was just
oh,
like,
he was like, "I'm
myself
gonna run the
included.
football now. Everybody leave." Dude, what was his running stats here? Josh, so he was 18 for 23, 232 yards, 2 touchdowns. And how many rushing yards was it that he had? I'm pulling it up. Josh Allen had 39 rushing yards, and both of them were touchdowns on the ground.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
uh,
he just literally at one point during the game, he kind of did the Lamar Jackson thing where he was just like,
yeah,
oh, yeah, I'm just going to take this game over and win
yeah.
it,
He
like
had 4
single
touchdowns.
handedly.
Well done.
Yeah. Also, speaking of 4 touchdowns, Casino, our boy Baker
Baker,
Mayfield.
what a game. And you know what? I talked about this. I said that Washington was going to lose this game. Being down in Florida, I like Baker. I want to see Jaden Daniels, do a little bit, but I still don't even if Jaden Daniels had a better game, in his debut, which he did. Let me pull up the stats. He did have a better game than Caleb Williams. So
Yeah.
I'll just say that. Yeah, he was 17 for 24 for 184 yards. Decent for a rookie quarterback starting their game on a team that wasn't expected to do much. I'm wanting them to do much better, but man, Baker had a day. 24 for 30, 4 touchdowns. He looked good. Baker looked good. Baker was cooking, dude. I even if Jaden Daniels had a better game, I don't think that the Washington defense could have stopped Baker down in Florida. Just
Yeah.
it was outstanding. What a game. What a game.
Well, and next week, what is it? The Bucks go. I have it written down here. The Bucks play. Uh oh man, where?
And
Oh,
and
that's week
and
one.
as it was while you're looking for that, somebody says here as I'm reading like grades of the teams, the Buccaneers got an A. Mayfield looks even more comfortable and seems to have even a better chemistry with his receivers, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. What did I say? He had more time with his team. He's not coming off the bench like he did last year. This was his team going into this year. You know, he was able to get to know his players in the offseason. And we haven't talked about Baker. Like, he's not in the media doing shows, doing commercials, doing this. Again, I don't know about locally, down in Florida, down in Tampa, but he looked good. He's focused. I like Baker in Tampa.
well, also,
Tampa Baker is so good.
it must be poetic justice for him that he had maybe the best game of his career and like this resurgence down in Tampa. Meanwhile, the guy who he basically got run out of town for is arguably the worst quarterback in the league who had maybe his one of his worst games
So true.
playing on the same day.
Ugh.
Uh but last two games we got to talk about Casino. We're going all the way back to Thursday and Friday. Do you have your
Well, we didn't talk Falcons Steelers. God damn
oh
it.
uh
Steelers guy, fuck you.
on Sunday's game, I played or on Sunday's show, I played a new game called Definitely Maybe I Don't Know. And the first definitely was definitely never doubt the Steelers Casino because we always do it.
God.
Everybody does it, and this is what they are.
I talk to Steelers fans all the time, and they're like, Tomlin, I want him out. He sucks. I don't like him. He can't win a Super Bowls. And I'm like, but he wins you games. Like, he has not had under 500 season in his career. He wins you.
And this is
That's
why. This is
dude.
why.
The
Yeah.
Steelers, god damn. Oh, it's good on him. I was surprised though Justin Fields got the start, and that I there's the whole controversy where he named Russ the starter, and then Justin Fields plays, and he's like, I'm going to play the healthy guy, but Russ is still our guy. Why even bring that up? Just be like, he's not healthy. Justin Fields, our backup, is getting the start.
Well, it's also already been named that Justin Fields is starting this week for the Steelers as well.
Yeah,
So
and then Kirk Cousins. Sorry, buddy. I love you. I do. Two interceptions though. Ugh.
no, again,
He got paid. I'm so happy for him. He got paid, but now just let it be.
it's the older quarterback going to a new team after a horrific injury. And I mean, with Rodgers, he suffered the horrific injury on the new team, but still, both of them coming into this year, coming from a horrific injury at the Vikings, an older guy, a little bit injury prone.
Yeah.
Rodgers, older guy, coming off an injury, a little bit injury prone. Both of them look like statues. I mean, Kirk Cousins always has been, but at least he was a competent quarterback, right? He was always middle of the pack quarterback. And then we have Aaron Rodgers on the other side, which we've already talked about. But yeah, Kirk Cousins looked rough in that game. He looked lost. The Bijan Robinson hype train kind of came to a screeching halt, 18 carries, 68 yards. I mean, Kyle Pitts, if every year he's like the third tight end in fantasy to go, and every year he puts up stats like this, which is 3 receptions, 26 yards. At least in this game he got a touchdown, because most weeks it's just 3 receptions for 36 yards and that's all you get. And maybe the biggest wasted opportunity in fantasy as long as I can remember. Every year, Kyle Pitts gets hyped up, and then it's like, Kirk Cousins loves throwing to tight ends. Kirk Cousins plays the whole game, barely looks Kyle Pitts' way, and at this point, it's a Pitts problem. It's a last 2 games, Casino.
Yeah,
Chiefs.
my wife's gonna be rolling up anytime soon, and my son literally is starting to wake up. So this is perfect. Let's roll on out.
So Chiefs outlast the Ravens.
Outlast is a great way to put it. If this is the AFC conference final, I'm excited because this was a game. It was literally by a toe. By a toe. This game was really, really fun.
Now we will save because we're running low on time. We'll save our rant against the refs for next episode.
All day.
But yeah, the calling the line penalties in this game were absolutely outrageous.
There's so many penalties.
But the Chiefs outlast the Ravens. Likely I believe he's backup tight end behind Mark Andrews. In double coverage, catches a ball back of the end zone and literally
No, it wasn't Andrews. It was Likely.
No, that's what I said.
Oh,
Likely, like the backup tight end to Andrews caught
got
the
it.
tight end double coverage as time expires. He steps out. Great game. I also think again at a certain point in that game, the last 5 minutes of it, Lamar Jackson was like, "I'm just taking over the game and I'm going to win it." And he had some runs, he had some throws, he had some
Dude, he had a
plays.
couple bullets. Like,
Oh
I had trouble, like, seeing the ball they were just, like, throwing in there. Great
yeah,
game. Um, yeah, just
and the
great game.
Chiefs, the Chiefs
Uh,
are who we thought they were.
yeah,
They're
they
going to
they
be
outlast the Ravens. They finally got some speed on the back end to help out Kelsey. It's gonna be
and
that offense is gonna be good.
And Worthy gets 2 touchdowns, one on an end around where he literally just runs past everybody. It's gonna this if you're a Chiefs hater, which I wouldn't say we are at this
I am.
podcast. Oh man, this is gonna be a rough season. This
I
is gonna
know.
be a rough season. The Chiefs look so good. Last game, casino, Eagles Packers in Brazil. Uh I mean, I've already done my Eagles
Can you
rant.
do Eagles versus Packers versus turf?
Yeah. The Eagles go up against their new kryptonite, which is just a field you're apparently not supposed to play football on. That's just wet and slippery. I don't know. With the Chiefs Ravens, it was, I don't know how many more offensive line penalties we can see before I get frustrated. With the Eagles Packers, it was, I don't know how many more times I can hear the announcers say, he slipped without wanting to break my phone in half. But I've never seen a game where multiple times on both sides of the field, like a guy would just straight up trip or fall or slip on the ground. And it was just like, and then people are talking about this game after the fact as if there was nothing, like no context to being like the Jalen Hurts second interception. AJ Brown just slips on the turf because apparently in the end zones, in the both end zones, it was much more slippery than just the field, which was also slippery. So Packers guy slips going for the ball. AJ Brown slips going for the ball. And then it's just like, oh man, that's a terrible throw by Hurts. And then it's like, yeah, his guy also slipped on the grass that isn't built to play football on. Like, what do you want? I can't. My thing coming out of this game, how can you talk about what either of these teams are when they're playing on a soccer field that nobody can get footing on? This isn't what these two teams are going to look like. I need to see them play an actual football game on an actual football field
And then you
without.
gotta feel bad for Jordan Love here, man. Like six
Oh, that
seconds left to
was
go in. Again, just the field. I hate it.